Before we begin, understand the timing of this matters. Our latest Patreon video, Why Women Become Inconsistent When She Feel You're Fully Invested, is already live, and it pairs perfectly with what you're about to hear. That video explains the moment her behavior starts to shift. This one explains why the shift was inevitable. And if you want coaching, the link is in the description and pinned comment. That option exists for men who are tired of learning power dynamics by bleeding in public. Now here's the hook. Most men won't admit applies to them. Relationships don't end when she leaves. They end the moment you lose leverage and keep smiling anyway. The beginning of the end is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with arguments or ultimatums. It shows up as enthusiasm you didn't notice slipping. Respect that turned into tolerance. Attraction that quietly clocked out while you were busy being a good guy. Men think relationships fall apart because of betrayal, boredom, or bad communication. Those are just symptoms. The real disease is loss of power, and men lose power the same way every time, by giving it away while calling it love. Power in relationships isn't cruelty. It isn't dominance. It's gravity. It's the unspoken understanding that your presence is valuable and your absence would be felt. The moment that understanding disappears, the countdown starts. The first mistake men make is emotional overexposure. They reveal everything too early, too often, and without discretion. They turn intimacy into a live stream. Every insecurity confessed, every doubt shared, every feeling processed out loud like a therapy session with sexual benefits. They believe transparency builds closeness. What it actually builds is predictability. Predictability is comfort. Comfort is not attraction. Comfort is what you feel about furniture. Women don't lose attraction because they know you. They lose attraction because there's nothing left to discover. Mystery isn't deception. It's restraint. And restraint signals self-possession. The second mistake is overinvestment without demand. Men pour time, attention, emotional labor, and availability into women who haven't earned it. They give boyfriend energy at intern wages. They think effort creates value. Effort without boundaries creates entitlement. The moment a woman feels she has full access to you without consequence, she stops protecting the connection. Why would she? You've already shown her you won't leave. Desire doesn't live where escape is impossible. This is where simps self-destruct. They mistake loyalty for leverage. They believe consistency will be rewarded. They don't realize that consistency without polarity is just background noise. Women who can play men understand this instinctively. They know that attention is currency, and scarcity sets the exchange rate. They respect men who don't overextend because those men signal abundance. And abundance, real or perceived, bends behavior. The third mistake is negotiating attraction. Men sense the shift and try to talk it back to life. They ask questions. They seek reassurance. They request clarity. They attempt emotional audits. Like attraction is a billing error that can be resolved with the right tone. Every time a man asks a woman how she feels about him, he's already lost ground. Desire doesn't survive interrogation. It responds to presence, not pleading. What actually happens when a man loses power is subtle, but ruthless. She starts leading emotionally. She sets the pace. She pulls back and watches how fast you follow. She withholds slightly just to see if you panic. These aren't evil schemes. They're diagnostic tests. And most men fail them immediately. They double text. They over-explain. They apologize for things that didn't require apologies. They contort themselves into emotional yoga poses, trying to re-secure a position that was lost the moment they stopped being centered. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Power is not taken from men in relationships. It's surrendered. The moment your mood depends on her response, your power is gone. The moment your self-worth fluctuates with her attention, the balance tips. The moment you prioritize keeping her over keeping your spine, the end has already begun. Psychology supports this, even if romance movies don't. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that individuals who maintain emotional independence within romantic relationships are perceived as more attractive and higher status than those who display emotional dependency, even when levels of affection are equal. In other words, neediness erodes perceived value faster than lack of interest ever could. This explains why men who care less often receive more. It's not indifference that attracts, it's self-containment. Women feel safest, and paradoxically most excited, around men whose internal world doesn't swing wildly in response to external validation. A man who remains grounded when she pulls back signals strength. A man who collapses signals risk. And risk isn't attractive unless it's directed outward, not inward. The dark humor in all this is that men are often most powerful at the beginning of relationships and least aware of it. They haven't invested yet. They're relaxed. They're curious. They're not trying to secure anything. They behave naturally. That naturalness is what draws her in. Then they start chasing the feeling instead of maintaining the posture that created it. They start performing. They start proving. They start trying to lock it down, like attraction is a wild animal that needs to be caged. And the cage is what kills it. Women don't fall out of love suddenly. They fall out of respect gradually. And respect is the foundation attraction pretends not to need, but always does. The beginning of the end is when a man stops being a chooser and becomes an applicant. When he waits to be picked instead of deciding. When he tolerates behavior he would have walked away from earlier just to keep access. That's when the power dynamic flips. She may not even consciously notice it, but she feels it, and feelings drive behavior. Once power is gone, men make one final fatal error. They try harder. They think effort will reverse entropy. They increase affection, availability, and emotional labor. They mistake intensity for influence. What they're doing is accelerating the decline. Attraction doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to space. Now here's the part most men avoid, because it requires accountability instead of tactics. The solution isn't acting cold. It isn't pretending not to care. It isn't manipulation theatrics. It's rebuilding an internal center that doesn't revolve around her. When a man's life has direction, when his time is genuinely occupied, when his sense of purpose predates and outlives her presence, power stabilizes naturally. He doesn't need to perform distance. He has it. Women notice this immediately, not because he withdraws, but because he doesn't cling. His interest becomes a choice, not a necessity. And choice is magnetic. Here's your homework. Not because you asked for it, but because insight without action is just intellectual vanity. For the next month, stop over-functioning emotionally in your relationships. Notice when you're about to explain yourself unnecessarily, when you're about to seek reassurance, when you're about to give more than was requested. Pause. Let silence do the work you've been trying to do with words. Redirect that energy into structure. Your body, your craft, your income, your environment. Build something that doesn't respond to mood swings. Something that compounds. Observe what changes, not just in her behavior, but in your nervous system. You'll feel withdrawal first. That's dependency leaving the body. Don't mistake discomfort for danger. If she leans back in, meet her calmly. If she doesn't, you've lost nothing you didn't already give away. That's how power is reclaimed. Quietly. Internally. Without announcements. If this video sharpened how you see relationships, power, and the subtle ways men sabotage themselves, subscribe if you liked it. Not as a favor, as a signal that you're paying attention. And leave a comment answering this question. What was the first thing you gave away in your last relationship that you shouldn't have? Your time, your boundaries, or your emotional center? The answer will tell you exactly when the end began. Welcome to the dark side of your mind, an armory disguised as advice. Everything here exists to give you clarity sharper than the games being played against you. The reading is where I dissect your situation with precision. What he meant, what he didn't, what you missed. About 1,000 words, plus one follow-up question to tighten the strategy. The case file is the full autopsy, a complete psychological breakdown in writing, plus a private audio message so you hear the parts most people avoid. One follow-up to lock it in. If you want speed, there's the whisper. 400 words. Direct. Unfiltered. No extra dialogue. If you prefer tone and voice, the weight of the message itself, the transmission gives you a private audio response. No follow-up. No hand-holding. And if your situation is messy enough for multiple angles, buy 2 services, and the third is free. Strategy rewards commitment. If you want the truth delivered publicly, without exposing yourself, there's the public whisper. One question, one strategic answer, posted for others to learn from. Short, clean, no follow-up. You already know why you're here. You ask your question, and within 72 hours, you get clarity most people never develop. Emotional discipline, psychological leverage, the ability to stop repeating patterns that drain you. The dark side of your mind isn't here to soothe you. It's here to change how you move.